Gareth Thomas threatened by blackmailers who wanted to expose HIV diagnosis. Mirror Online. World exclusive rugby hero forced to break news about illness to mum and dad because of threats, and it was endapo. Hardest thing I endapo. Ve ever had to do endapo. Gareth Thomas was threatened by sick blackmailers as he tried to keep his HIV diagnosis secret from family and friends. The rugby hero today reveals how it forced him to break the news about his illness to his mum and dad, the hardest thing he says he has ever had to do. Gareth tells of the threats that put him in the darkest place ever.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot bar. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.